Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Watch This with Joe and Kevin minus Joe. Again, Kevin here back with episode 7 of For All Mankind. Um, in the last couple of episodes, we've kind of done what for me is a lot of the really fun stuff of actually being in space, being on the moon specifically. So far for for the last two episodes. Um, for the last one, and we had a 2 year time jump in between. Um, the last one really kind of was split between Earth and home, but really kind of showing the stress that being away puts on everybody, which kind of makes sense, right? All the astronauts, and we saw it really with Ed and obviously with Gordo, right? That were really struggling being away from their families or and being out longer than they were supposed to. And the cracks kind of showing, especially it seems with Gordo, whose marriage is completely failing. But also the stresses at home as well for the people whose partners are away. We didn't really see it much with Danny, which leads you to conclude two things. Either things are going great for her, so there wasn't need to focus on it, or they're not, but they chose to focus on the other relationships we're more invested in at this point. Based on what we know about her husband, who was struggling post war. Again, this is 2 years later. It seems like her being away, again, kind of like, not completely unlike his military deployment. It's just the roles are reversed. Right now, she's the one in the really dangerous situation. um, that those stresses would still be there, that those triggers would be there, that the support system's not there, just like it wasn't when he was away at war. The family support system, the really important one to each other, right? The spousal support system. And if the two guys are having it, I have to assume Danny's experiencing it too, but probably because you limited time in a television show, right? We can focus on what we can focus on, and last time we focused on the Gordo and Ed and their marriages, which is something we've seen since episode 1. So it's something we're a little more invested in. I hope we get more of Danny. Um, we didn't get much of her in the last episode beyond like one or two shots to remind us she's even there. So I hope she's becomes a more significant player in the future moving forward on the show and in this season as we get. I'm assuming towards the end of the season it's Apple, so I'm assuming there's 10 to 12 episodes, 8 to 12 maybe. We're on episode 7 now, but it's not, again, for all of them. It's not unlike a military deployment, right? The stress isn't just happening for the person who's deployed and in the dangerous situation, but it's hard on the people who are left at home as well. Um, so, I mean, I guess we'll kind of see what that plays moving forward. I expect the cracks to grow a little bit, because, we started last episode them saying, we've already been here a couple weeks longer than we were supposed to. We're ready to come home. And then with the explosion, the disaster, now we are months out from getting them any relief. So, what was, I don't know how long their deployment was, their mission, um, but it's obviously going to be much longer than they planned. And the stress of that has to be nearly impossible, right? Ever worked a shift and towards the end of your shift, you find out you're working a double and your mind wasn't quite prepared for it? That's a tiny blip compared to what these three astronauts are having to go through and what their families are going through. So I expect to see a lot of that moving forward. We also found out that Deke is going to be going into space. I can't remember which Apollo we're on and which one he said, but probably whenever they get the relief mission up, maybe Deke gets to go to the moon. They said the other two who were with him going to the moon. I can't remember. I think Ellen might have been one of them, but I could be completely wrong about that. And I didn't remember who else was going. So, we may get finally when we get these three off the moon, we may have some focus on Deke and Ellen and somebody else on the lunar base as well, which should be a lot of fun to kind of change up cast basically with who's in that situation. All right, before we go and get rolling here, we do want to thank all my Patreon, I'm so possessive, all our Patreon subscribers for being here with us. Give a special shout out to Super Size Me patrons, Actuarial Lurker, Balas Foldes, Chris, Jeff, NJ, and Suri Gundavarapu. I'm so sorry that I'm never going to get that name right. I'll practice. Thanks for being here with us, guys. If you'd like to see a full reaction to this and everything else we're watching, check out the link in the description below to our Patreon page. Over on Patreon, we're about 4 episodes ahead of where we are on YouTube. So if you get done with this episode and want to keep going, you can do it on Patreon. You will have to sync and watch along on your own Apple Plus. You will only see and hear me for copyright purposes.
Process of destacking the rocket, there was a mishap. in the vertical assembly building, and some damage was done to the LOX vent lines.
Another 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks.
Oh.
Jamestown base is operational and will remain so until we're properly relieved.
Yeah, they put on the brave face because it's their job as professionals, as military people, but they are not happy.
Why don't you let me do it for you? I was a demolitions expert in the Marines.
What's his name? The guy that did Eeyore's voice. He's on 12 Angry Men.
John Fiedler, character actor. Does a lot of TV.
Then you sure you had a good connection on the S-band leads when you hooked up the line?
Yep.
This show is really great about reminding you how much these people have to know and have to do. Like, you have to be a master of all trades.
Right, but
Oh no!
Don't kill any ants.
thanks for your help, guys. Really.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Oh god, that would get old, I would think. Yeah, the freeze there on a very, very overly laughing Gordo. I think he's gonna crack open like a pinata at some point here.
How'd your interview go with Levi Strauss?
I didn't get it.
Yeah, this poor man needs help.
It's like my mind was slipping into this hole, you know.
You're aware that I have the power to yank your security clearance and bounce you out of the program. I can't figure out your story. You get a pilot license as a teenager, MIT, aeronautical engineering. Doesn't make an ounce of sense.
What is he not getting?
I can't understand why Ellen Waverly, heiress, aeronautical engineer, pilot, and now astronaut, is with Larry Wilson.
I hate this guy. I know I'm supposed to, but good job. Well, the Soviet base. Okay, we've seen it across.
Is that the Russian carrier wave?
It's not ours, so it's gotta be theirs.
And you can assume the Soviets are listening to them as well.
At least 2 back behind the rack.
You're talking about the ants?
Yeah, I'm talking about the ants.
Are they really ants? Or is he losing it?
If there's any sign the Russians have been on our side of the crater.
We're supposed to be gathering ore samples tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna take a little detour.
Those ants are NASA property and we're responsible for them.
Easy there, sailor. No one's making fun of your ants, okay?
Fine.
The cracks are showing. And again, it's so weird because the one person who has the biggest reason to worry about home is Danny, and she's to be the one to hold it together the best.
I'd like to talk about the relationship between the boys. My concern is that it's becoming unhealthy and damaging.
They're friends.
Best friends.
Shane is a natural leader, Danny wants to please him, and the results are toxic antisocial behavior.
I'm not listening to any more of this. Let's go.
It's got to be fun to deal with defensive parents like that as a school administrator. First, I was Gordo out for a walk. See, I think that would be a bigger security threat is nobody being at the base, so the Soviets could go check it out. I mean, you don't lock the doors, you know.
We're out on the rover and you go AWOL. We talked about this last time.
You want to hit me? That's what you want to do? Come on, give it your best shot. You think you're man up?
Oh, wow.
You're confined to this base until further notice.
Am I reading this wrong? But his like heavy blinking is kind of unsettling too.
This is not a good time for the administration to be forced to deal with another scandal. You and Larry both could take a step.
Is he telling me I have to get married? Oh, the Newhart show is stuck in the tape player.
How's Gordo's cold?
It's, feeling better.
Yeah.
No. What are we gonna do now?
Oh, God. Send some books.
Emily, would you like to explain what led to your fear of flying?
Oh,
my
I don't
God.
think anybody would be interested in my story. I thought I'd just sit and listen tonight.
Supposed to help your mother with all the new responsibilities she's taking on. But instead, you're running around acting like some kind of little punk. When are you going to stop acting like a little baby and start acting like a man?
He's 11.
Just stop crying the rain. Cut it out.
I'm getting a bad vibe from him lately, like
Yeah.
something just isn't computing in his head anymore.
Gordo's tough. We'll be fine.
This is the same problem that Danny's husband's having. Is it tough? It's not a question of tough.
I agree with you, sir, but I think the Soviets knew full well we'd find their tracks and report back to NASA.
Oh, the tracks weren't theirs.
Okay. The White House. We will handle everything through diplomatic channels from now on.
Ed was right. I thought he was being a little paranoid too, but no, he's right.
You're not seriously considering this?
Yeah, they're gonna get married, aren't they?
I don't know. You do this, then you and we're done. Pam. I love you.
See Pam's point, but it wouldn't be real.
It's time. Stop. Okay, Ed, this time you're gonna play Mr. Carlin.
Oh no.
Oh.
Because Ed
I
finally
didn't think
seen
anyone
this
would
is
be
serious.
interested in my story. I really just thought I'd sit and listen to you. Stepping on the joke.
Yeah, he is full on disassociated.
Let's go for a walk. Outside. Just the two of us.
How you feeling? Okay. I didn't sign up for this, Ed.
I mean, they're way longer than I thought. But
What happened? You saw what? It's an ant. There's an ant in my spacesuit. Suit? I've been feeling. He's crawling down.
No. He's.
Oh,
no.
Gotta get my helmet off. Get off! Ah!
We'll stop him, Ed.
Look at me. Look at me. Hey, it's me. They ain't there. Gordo, everything's gonna be all right.
We gotta face it. You gotta go home, Gordo. I'm sending you and Gordo home without me. I'm staying.
That would suck even worse.
His career's over. I tell you that.
Yeah. As an astronaut, yeah.
You mean in space, right?
I mean in anything.
Oh.
Yank his pilot ticket.
Trying to change the battery and then it fell on my arm.
Oh my God, she broke her arm for his cover story.
You just suddenly had to change the battery. Couldn't wait till morning.
Yeah.
They all support your decision to remain at Jamestown until properly relieved, which should be in 2 weeks' time.
Oh my God.
Bye, Bob. Bye, Bob.
Bye, Bob.
I cannot believe that you did this.
Again?
After everything that's going on.
I'm sorry, okay?
Don't take that tone with me. You're grounded until after Christmas.
But I have a basketball game.
Not anymore.
This is a bunch of crap!
Or different times. Oh, it's today. I thought I said this weekend. I think Shane might be in some trouble. Why is everybody staring at Danny? Were they like giving her crap because she broke her arm? Did he get arrested?
What's he done?
Ma'am, I'm afraid there's been an accident.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Come on. Oh no! Like a bike accident? Like, of course. I mean, he got hit by a car or something when he was out on his bike. See, well, that changes everything I was going to talk about at the end of the episode. Because now it's a situation of life happening while they're separated like this. Now Karen's got to deal with all of this, of a tragedy, a horrible tragedy, completely alone. And then, what do you tell Ed? When do you tell Ed? Do you tell Ed? The right thing is to tell Ed. Or is it the wrong thing to tell him while he's alone on the moon in a really tough position already? Oh my God. I don't even know what the right thing to do moving forward on something like that is. Well, because like you don't know how Ed's going to react to something. I mean, the last time I don't know if it was the last time we saw, but probably the last time he talked to his son, he told him he was disappointed in him, which is definitely not the last conversation you want to have with your kid. Anyway, obviously, my God. And for Karen, you know, she thought he was home alone, home the whole time, waiting for her. And she didn't take him to the basketball game, so now she's going to feel like it's her fault when this is nobody's fault. Well, I don't know the circumstances of the accident, obviously. You know, it could be like a drunk driver situation or something. Not that any of that matters right now. Man, that's going to be so tough moving forward with Karen and with Ed, with them kind of struggling a little bit anyway, and with him being where he is and her being where she is, isolated from one another, and Ed isolated from everybody. I don't know how you handle this moving forward. I don't want to speculate. I assume if Ed's going to be there for a long time longer, at some point you just have to tell him because hey, it's more bizarre. Shane's not coming to to talk to him. You don't lie to him. You know how if Ed says how'd the basketball game go, what do you do? Um, And then, I don't want to just completely dwell on that, but I mean, then you had Larry and Ellen having to get married for stupid reasons of fighting impropriety that isn't, as we know now in 2024, obviously not really impropriety. Then you've got, Gordo, Danny making a huge, huge sacrifice because it looked like people were whispering about her. So I'm assuming that there was a lot of look at the idiot who broke her arm and had to come home early, even, brave Ed and, heroic Gordo had to take her home. And she's kind of the punchline. Even though, the truth is much more heroic that she did it to save Gordo's career. And ultimately Gordo, because it looks like her husband is not doing well, and it sounds like she doesn't expect him to bounce back. I mean, obviously you don't know. The show has time jumps. Maybe in a future season he's doing better down the road. Maybe he gets help now that she's home. Yeah, you hope. Although let's face it, this is a show that clearly does not steer away from tragedy in the writing and execution. Oh man. So there's a lot still to unpack because now we're going to move forward with the Soviets kind of, encroaching on the American base area, and Ed kind of being the lone person there to kind of act as some kind of weird protector of the proprietary technology, if nothing else, and the site, while also dealing with this new horror. And you don't know how Ed's going to handle it. I wouldn't know how Ed would handle it. I wouldn't expect him to handle it well. We had the story where he talked about losing the person that he was escaping behind enemy lines with, not making it if he did, but you get past it. You tough it out and you get past it. I don't think this is going to be one of those things at all. I guess we'll have to see what that looks like moving forward. I can't wait for the next one. This show is incredibly compelling. It's a sci-fi show, obviously, with really fun nerd stuff for me in terms of the alternate history and the NASA stuff, which I very much enjoy, of course. But the human elements too are not to be overlooked on this show because there is some serious human drama coming on this show, as we've already seen. Now that Gordo's home, does that mean, I know that it's not the more important storyline, but now that Gordo's home, is he moving out away from Tracy, as was the plan, right? She wanted him to get an apartment when he got home. She signed the lease, I guess. So it's going to be a rough next episode, I'm guessing. I'll catch you on that one, guys.